Boom, bam, bop, pow.
Hi, I'm Dante, and I've been waiting for more than a few hours for the Steam remake of this game to come out. Welcome to Hours, a game that only has a few hours worth of shits for you to unlock, but a couple weeks worth of replayability. Please kill me. This game is like one of those roguelike games, but unlike other roguelike games, or the title itself, it doesn't take you several hours and thousands of deaths to beat the game once. The game only has 4, technically 5 stages if you count the mimicry part of the final boss. And unlike the game I covered last video, I don't have 21 minutes worth of shit to talk about unless I want this video to be 1 hour long. So I'll just head right into the... In this game, technically every enemy is a boss, but if I were to cover them all, this video would be like 30 minutes long. So I'll just cover every single boss that appears at the end of a stage. Starting with Equinox, the final boss of stage 1. He's the most overpowered boss in the entire game because he's both black and white, meaning he has rights and he can say the N-word. All of his attacks also have lifesteal, and at half health he jumps into the air and beholds the power of an angel, increasing the damage that we take by 2 times. At low health, he will become a TF2 hacker and spin bot around, causing a big black tornado to appear, which does lifesteal. Bloxer Man. Despite his name, this guy doesn't build anything. Instead, he shoots nails at you, as well as making them rain from the sky. Man, this dumbass looks like he's praying when he does it. If you invade his personal space, he will do a King of Crimson and impale you with a nail. When his health reaches 0, he will gain some health back in the form of shield and deploy his ultimate move, the 20-meter radius Emerald Splash. Ronin Alpha. He's the most iconic boss in the entire game. This man can deflect everything, and I mean everything. Stand barrages, a supercharged strike from a spear, a sniper, the entire Helldiver army, a car, and even God himself. Resident Mind. He's like Gabriel from Ultra Kill, but instead of melee attacks, he only uses ranged moves. These moves range from Virtue Strikes, Balls, Big Balls, and the Finger Zero. However, before you can reach him, you must survive his Toho-ass bullet hell section that you can mostly beat just by holding W. After that, you must fight nothing there. The fight that is either press 2 buttons and win, or get hit once and you die. Aside from the bosses, there are also tempos in this game are abilities that you can activate by pressing spacebar. Some will stop time, some will erase time, some will speed up time, some will let you see the future, and some will make you kill yourself. Since I want this video to still be decently long but not be too long, I'll just tell you how to get some of the secret tempos as well as tips for getting it. Beginning with Sand. In order to get this tempo, you have to beat the game in under 10 minutes. In the main menu, if you f*** around with the settings box, you'll eventually find the stopwatch setting. Turn it on so you don't accidentally waste your time. Personally, I recommend using Visitor with the Rush tempo or Parting with the Zavardo tempo. I'll talk more about these two goobers in the host section. Word. In order to get this, you have to be the man who commits vehicular manslaughter. First, you have to beat the game, line yourself up with this comically long pathway, and go vroom vroom. If you did it correctly, you'll land on this platform and you can unlock Word. Hint. In order to get this, you must parry Resident Mind's Road Roller with any shield-based move. I recommend using the Sand Temple you unlocked from earlier to make timing way easier. Jump. To get this tempo, you have to beat the game while skipping every upgrade screen. I recommend using the Parting and Halt combo from earlier because he makes the game super easy, even without upgrades. Anyways, that's all for the secret tempos. For the rest of the tempos, you just gotta beat the game with each character. Moving on to the... The hosts in this game are the different characters that you can play as. Most of them have upgrades that give you different abilities, and some boost other abilities. Since each host in of itself is good, especially with the correct tempo, I won't be ranking them. Instead, I'll be talking about how to unlock them and what tempo works best with them in my opinion. If you think differently, then feel free to comment about it. Invader, the starter host of this game. His abilities include Thunderclap Dash, Beyblade, and making his blades give your opponents cancer, which in turn gives your attacks lifesteal and increased damage. For tempos, I recommend using Halt or Dive since the time stop lets you wail on your opponents for free, healing you and doing a Kakyo win against the enemies. Some of his upgrades include giving enemies radiation sickness, Beyblade, the sequel, and Great Split Vertical. Prophet, the second host in this game. You unlock him by beating the first stage of the game. He has a big blue spear, and unsurprisingly, the spear is heavy, so all his attacks take a million years to finish swinging. His abilities include Dark Souls Dash, big spear hit that does a shit ton of damage, and self-healing. I recommend using the star tempo because it freezes enemies for just enough time that you can nuke them with your big spear hit. Some of his upgrades include Negromancy, Grand Javelin, and Relentless Stabbing. Witness, the third host in this game. To unlock him, you must beat up David Bazooki himself. His abilities include a shield, low tier god, and kicking someone in the balls. I recommend using the Zero tempo, since a lot of his abilities and upgrades have a super high cooldown, and Zero lets you reset his cooldowns. Notable upgrades include it's a 60-second technical nuke, Sentry going up, and Artisan, the fourth host of this game, obtained by beating up Ronin Alpha. He's like the engineer from TF2. He builds sentries, has a gun, has a parry, and primarily focuses on running away. I recommend using the Zero tempo for this guy since he can place down double the amount of sentries. And if you buy the Overclock Game Pass, you can play man vs machine on the side of the machines. His upgrades include a turret that can walk, a turret that has a sword, and a turret that has a rocket launcher. Vestige, the fourth host of the game, obtained by beating the game itself. He's the sniper of the game. His abilities include Sniping's a good job, mate, the Joestar secret technique, and the ability to random crit. I recommend using either the Sand tempo since his running away move gives you iframes even when time is stopped, or the Rush tempo. His upgrades include turning his sniper into a shotgun, it's raining bullets, and Fan the Hammer. Visitor, you get this guy by beating the game with the first 5 hosts that I talked about. He is the slowest host in the game. This dumbass could get outrun by a crippled tortoise, but luckily he has good moves to compensate for his lack of mobility. These moves include Viet Cong tunneling, Kamehameha, and stinging enemies in the balls. I recommend using the Rush tempo with him so he can actually move. This also makes his laser take less time to finish, which is great because his laser takes way too long to finish. Some of his upgrades include Nano Machines, that giant drill from Gurren Lagann, and homing ball stingers. Subject, you get this guy by beating the game on the seconds difficulty, or the minutes difficulty if you are on mobile. In order to use him, you must press this ability to do a JoJo pose and get a random potion. So I hope you have good luck. I recommend using the Halt tempo since this lets you get a bunch of potions and then throw them all on the enemies before running away. His upgrades just improve his potions. He doesn't actually get any new potions. Parting, he's the stand user of this game. You get him by beating the game with a tempo that makes you kill yourself if you use it. Since this guy's a walking JoJo reference, and since I was paid $30 to do this, I'm letting my best friend voice this section.
It is I, Satagenica, the best offender of Dante, and I've hijacked your daily program. So anyway, Parting is just the average stand user from Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. But instead of being a Japanese, he's a goddamn commie! Anyways, his abilities include punching, jumping, and pressing Q to summon his stand to punch and jump for him. Personally, I recommend using Diver Hall if you want to be a lore accurate Dio! His upgrades include Tax Evasion, Dio Knife Barrage, and Yay Pat!
Okay, thank you. Up next we have Dreamer. This is the only guy on the list where you have to pay the f up, since you need the Hands of Time game pass to even gain the ability to unlock this guy. You have to win with every tempo on the first page, and you need the Hands of Time game pass in order to even do that. He's the boss when you unlock him as a playable character. He has amazing damage potential, but if someone lightly breathes on him, he bites the dust. His abilities include Balls and the Orbital Strike. I recommend using the anti or zero tempo since it makes Dreamer do an insane amount of damage. His upgrades are just moves from the Resident Mind boss fight, including Hot Rash. You get this guy by clicking on this random spot in the main menu, which unlocks him. He has two main moves, a parry and dual AKs. I recommend using the sand tempo since if you're in his parry bubble and you're frozen with sand, you basically become fucking invincible! His upgrade just increases damage and also all rhyme with his name. Helion. To unlock this guy, you have to use Hot Rash and any time-stopping tempo. Then, you have to get to stage 3 and kill Fiend Rider while he's trying to commit vehicular manslaughter. This gives you Helion. His abilities include 2 dodges and Vroom Vroom. I recommend using Anti or the Sand tempo with him, since with Anti, his car does 300 damage, and with Sand, much like Hot Rash, you're almost f***ing invincible. Unless another Fiend Rider hits you with a car. His upgrades increase his damage and health, just like Hot Rash. Drifter. What weebs actually look like. To obtain this guy, you have to beat the game without taking any damage. I recommend using Prophet with the Overheal upgrade, since shield damage doesn't count as normal damage. His abilities include summoning a horde of noobs to gank the shit out of your opponent, and parry, just like the boss, can parry literally anything. But sadly, it has a cooldown, unlike the boss. Equinox. To unlock this boss, you have to fully heal Equinox when he does the big black tornado move. To do this without having to refight the boss while at 2 HP, I recommend using Artisan and placing down turrets inside of his big black tornado. Since this guy's attacks are slower than a dried up earthworm, I recommend you use Rush to speed his attacks up. Just like the boss, he has lifesteal, so you don't have to worry about your health so long as you hit your moves. And just like the past 3 hosts, this guy's upgrade buffs his damage and health. Bloxer. Probably the most boring boss in— wait, shit, wrong video. To obtain him, you have to get to phase 2 of the Builderman boss and activate every single tripwire that's deployed. To do this, I recommend using Parting and getting the Running Away upgrade, in order to run around and not get hit. Bloxer's abilities are the exact same as the boss, but he's even worse since he's somehow slower than Equinox and doesn't have the same health as the boss, so Rush is pretty much needed if you want to play him. Last but not least, Buffoon. To unlock him, you have to turn around, walk towards this white guy, and enter Infinite Mode. After that, you have to get to Wave 7, which it says you cannot upgrade anymore. After that, you have to set your screen shake to 1000%, go back to the main menu, and rejoin the game. Then, you have to wait on the starting screen until you can move. Follow these pink bricks and grab this duck. Buffoon is the living embodiment of copyright infringement, since almost all of his moves are taken from other bosses and enemies. I recommend Rush or Gold for him, since he can just run away and spam every ability with no consequence. Congrats, you're in the endgame now. The only thing you can do is mess around with all the different hosts and tempos, as well as trying to beat your record in Infinite Mode. The game has been discontinued, so there's nothing there for you to obtain now. Luckily, there's a Steam remake coming out eventually, but we're gonna have to wait much more than a few hours for that. I mean, you could always try the numerous fan games of this game, but they are nowhere close to the same quality. Anyways, that's all for the video. Like, subscribe, and comment down any other game you want me to cover next, or I will send you to do repression work with nothing there.